Welcome to the Fed to Fed podcast, where we dive into the dynamic world of government technology. In this podcast series, we'll be joined by current and former federal leaders and industry trailblazers who are at the forefront of innovation. Here, we speak openly and honestly about the challenges and opportunities facing the federal government and the Department of Defense and its partners in the modern age, driving innovation and the incredible capabilities of technology along the way. Whether you're a federal leader, a tech industry professional, or simply fascinated by IT modernization, just like us, this podcast is for you. And we're so happy to have you tuning in. Today, we'll be hearing from two dynamic leaders from Alpha Omega to discuss powerful modernization solutions and contract vehicle options that are accelerating procurement and mission for the DoD and national security agencies. We're joined by Nitin Vartak, Chief Technology Officer at Alpha Omega. He brings nearly 2 decades of experience leading cloud, DevSecOps, and digital modernization for agencies like HHS, VA, NOAA, and DHS. And joining Nitin is Rob Brown, Alpha Omega's Senior Vice President of National Security Solutions. Rob came to Alpha Omega via USCIS, where he was the Chief Technology Officer, driving AI-led modernization and predictive analytics to shape digital government at scale. Welcome. So Nitin and Rob, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, let's jump right in. Let's go ahead and set the stage and talk about why modernization is such a high priority for agencies right now and what's getting in the way of doing it quickly.
Modernization enables agencies to deliver mission needs and citizen-focused services faster and cheaper. Whether it's immigration overhaul, cybersecurity posture changes, or commerce regulation, if underlying infrastructure and systems are not primed for the emerging priorities, it severely impacts the mission readiness and citizen services. The new administration is cutting down red tapes and simplifying regulations at breakneck speed, and that makes a rapid modernization across the government a highest priority. And what is getting in the way of that is not the technology, but the whole process of federal modernization. And it's more than your AI or technology, but the fact that Silicon Valley startups, commercial industry has adopted emergence technology and AI so fast to reduce the cost and eliminate bottlenecks, it's just amazing. The emergence of low cost and accessible AI, we have accelerators and AI tools. All these bring very fast, rapid acceleration to modernization and reduction in price, sometimes up to 90% using some very specific tools. So real bottleneck here is more procedural and less to do with technology, in my opinion.
You said that modernization bottlenecks aren't just technical, they're procedural. What do you mean by that?
Oh, they are indeed. And the bottlenecks are about how the whole thing is procured and prescribed to be delivered. And it has to do with longer procurement cycles, prescribed technology stack, or doing the way you should do. And it is a very good example, about when you go for a training for how to write a PWS or SOO for government contracts. They talk about, don't say that you mow the lawn to 2 inches. You say that the lawn should be healthy, it is maintained regularly. So it is the objective-based, it should be objective-based procurement.
More SOOs, less PWSs.
Absolutely, Rob. And you have been through this on the both sides of the aisle, right? I'm pretty sure you have some amazing anecdotes on that side. So really, it's a use of contracting vehicles that take a lot of years, technologies and tools that are stuck in approval process, lack of budget flexibility. Once you assign the money to O&M, you can't move it on to something else. And prescriptive contract deliverables. On one side, we want new innovation, but then you are still looking at the deliverables that actually hamper the innovation. So all these traits of traditional modernization are having a chokehold onto the progress that can be unleashed with the emerging technology. And I'm pretty sure, Rob, you being on that side, on the federal side, and then coming on the commercial side, you see those procedural hurdles more clear and emerging in under new administration.
So, Rob, from your perspective, working with AI-driven development tools, how does speed and modernization impact mission success, especially in areas like cybersecurity or AI readiness?
Yeah, so I think, the real cost of moving slow, everyday agencies delay their modernization efforts. Nitin's already touched on this. It's not just about maintaining old systems. It's actually accumulating like a compound risk. Like legacy systems continuously are bleeding budgets dry through maintenance costs, O&M, and at the same time, they're creating massive cybersecurity vulnerabilities. A lot of times these systems, the frameworks, the software, libraries, they're not maintained anymore. So it becomes just extremely expensive. So I've seen some agencies where they spent 80% of their IT budget just in keeping the lights on and trying to do just basic O&M. So it leaves almost nothing for innovation, for modernization, really moving forward. And then there's the procurement paradox. Nitin touched on this as well. And this is what's, it's a pain. You can build an AI solution and, some of our accelerators products, we can build it in, before lunchtime with an idea. Sometimes, it takes 18 months just to get this through procurement. So let's say we've built something and, before lunch, same day. And now for it to actually be and go into production, 18 months, that's crazy. So it's not just this inefficiency. I would say it's almost truly like, especially in the advent of AI, it's really a national security challenge, big time. Our adversaries aren't waiting for paperwork. They're going straight to production. They're moving super fast, sometimes faster than before lunch. So these contracting delays are more damaging than the technical challenges themselves. And then AI truly is a game changer. I mean, what's different now, especially with AI-assisted modernization, the math has changed, as I've already illustrated. We're making migrations that used to take 3 to 5 years. And again, now we're doing it in days, months. More importantly, like building that AI readiness from day one so that agencies aren't just catching up. We have to position for what's next. As it relates to security and AI, the next iteration with quantum, we have some serious challenges. But we can talk about that later. So these agencies, that move fast now won't just save money. They're going to be able to execute their missions in a very increasingly complex threat landscape. So speed isn't about being reckless. It's about being relevant.
That was excellent. Thank you so much, Rob, and thank you, Nitin. So, Nitin, let's talk about the Alpha Omega Modernization Suite. What is it? How is it different from a collection of point tools?
Yeah, excellent question, Susan. Thank you for asking that. Alpha Omega Modernization Suites, or AOMs for short, is a collection of AI-augmented modernization tools that address very specific domains or areas of problems in large modernization efforts. Just to give an example, we have Delta AI to cover for like modernization with deterministic AI. We have New Builder for greenfield development. We have Atlas AI for data migration and process automation. And we have A2O for cyber compliance and ATO acceleration. These tool sets drive down costs and timelines of modernization by 60 to 90%. And this is unheard of just 5 years ago. And that's what advent of AI has made it possible. Now compare that to your typical techniques using generative AI, vibe coding, which maxes out around 10 to 30% of time and efficiency. And that's what differentiate AOMS, or Alpha Omega Modernization Suite. These are backed by the implementations in federal government and commercial areas where AI-assisted modernization reduce timelines and costs significantly. We have deployed this modernization accelerated for real cost and time savings. We And I think the one example comes to mind is recently we completed a project in Air Force where we modernized a system in 3 months using Delta AI, less than the time it takes to procure a contract. We reduced Navy's ISO workload by 60% using A2O and fast tracking their A2Os to make continuous compliance a reality. Atlas AI is helping us carve out a niche in ERP modernization by accelerating data migration. Now, these examples are what sets AOMS apart because they are tried, tested, and reconfigured for very specific federal problems, and they have been applied across the federal government, civilian and DoD, with certain accelerators. And that's why we stand behind them and they're ready to be delivered.
That's great, Nitin. Thanks so much for sharing that and also the example of how it's helped an agency cut modernization timeframes. So, Rob, you lead the development of some of the accelerators within the suite. How do they reduce manual effort and risk for agencies?
Sure. So our accelerators, well, first of all, we treat our accelerators like products. That's the mindset that we have. And so our accelerators and risk reduction, again, these aren't just tools, they're truly like force multipliers. And we take that to heart from the partners that we work with to the ideas we have, the IP we create, and with the customers in mind. So for example, code modernization. Initially, instead of reviewing millions of lines of COBOL or legacy Java or something as simple as Angular to React, our accelerators, automatically analyze, document, and refactor that code while still maintaining business logic. So we've thrown out some percentages here, but essentially we're eliminating 70 to 80% of the manual effort, like right off the bat. That's just from code mod. As it relates to like one of our other products, accelerators, New Builder, our business process refactoring, what was like 6 months to a year. I mean, again, now it's like 60 minutes. Essentially, as I stated, it's from idea to app in production, or at least in development before lunch, same day. So for some cybersecurity, we are running continuous automated scans that catches a lot of these vulnerabilities before they become incidents. And our architecture optimization accelerators can analyze this for the entire enterprise, identify the redundancies, bottlenecks. Again, this is modernization in days, not months. So from a kicker perspective, every output is automatically validated against our federal compliance framework, like FedRAMP and FISMA. So that's our A2O accelerator, and in use today in various organizations. So the real magic, honestly, happens when you combine these accelerators, because some of them are essentially linked. The example I've got is, let's say you're doing a code modernization. It could be something like COBOL. So using our Delta AI suite and combining that with our New Builder accelerator, not only are we actually modernizing that code, but at the same time, we can extract from that legacy code base map out the entire business process, and then start to refactor it either in parallel or in tandem serial with the actual code modernization. So again, this is where I'm talking about our force multipliers, really trying to get to an end state and product that happens again in either minutes, days, not years and months.
Absolutely. And just want to add one more thing to what Rob said, right? Rob's deep knowledge of federal government also helps us eliminate the products that we know cannot be applicable in federal government. So AOMS has these products, platforms, and accelerators that are directly applicable, can solve the real problems, and are effective in reducing a lot of timelines and cost expenditures. So it comes from the technology abilities perspective, but also syncing with the existing technology architecture that government has, so it offers least friction when we are solving the problems. So we're attacking this problem multiple ways, and I think that's why we're seeing the success with AOMS that we're seeing today.
Absolutely.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, thank you. That's quite an advantage. compared to traditional modernization efforts across the board. So
I
let's
mean, if I
dive
could,
in. Go ahead.
sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if I could sum up the advantages, not to
You
sound too
bet.
salesy, but I would say that our goal is to deliver, predictable outcomes at a predictable cost, in a fraction of the time and a fraction of the cost.
Yep.
I mean, traditional vendors, they usually come with armies of consultants, the traditional SIs of days of past, with multi-year timelines, budgets that balloon. It's the 17% done. I've spent 70% of the budget. We're attempting and are successfully flipping that model using our accelerators that give us a repeatable, measurable process so that customers know exactly what they're getting, know what the costs are, again, ideally with no surprises or overruns.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Rob. And that's great information for all to be able to connect those dots. So let's dive right into introducing FastPath, the procurement accelerator. There's so much going on with innovation. We always focus on acquisition at the speed of innovation. Tell me more, Nitin, around the technology. So we know technology alone doesn't solve the urgency problem if procurement takes 6 months. And you all referred to that, talked about that throughout this discussion. How does FastPath help agencies buy faster?
Oh, this is another great question. And this is Alpha Omega doing our part to solve some of the procedural problems that we discussed earlier. For past 3 to 5 years, we invested in R&D to secure our spot on the innovation-focused procurement vehicles. And the Alpha Omega FastPath includes 2 rapid procurement vehicles that demand innovation. The procurement vehicles itself requires you to have innovation to deliver things faster. And this is very much in alignment with new administration's preferences that have been reiterated by Defense Secretary Hegseth. First is Small Business Innovation Research Grant. We have AI-driven cyber compliance services available under this vehicle, which allows you to cover wider cyber scope, but also with acceleration, faster delivery, and AI-based innovation. And the second is trade wins. We have 3 different highly innovative services available under it. AI-based modernization covers the entire spectrum, AI-based process automation, replacing legacy RPA, and AI-based data migration, which is a typically long haul intent for migration. Both these vehicles enable rapid procurement across the full spectrum of services. And not only that, we have invested much more forward-leaning technologies and partnership to extend this vehicle, the scope and the abilities we can deliver so that we can cut down the time it takes to procure services through competitive bids. It eliminates the headaches, it delivers the results, and as I said, it is truly a fast track to procurement.
So, Nitin, you've mentioned FastPath is particularly valuable for agencies trying to obligate funds before the fiscal year ends. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Oh, and I think this fiscal year end is the right time to leverage FastPath. We know that throughout the summer, because of the contractual delays and scope changes, there are a lot of contracts that either have not been exercised, requirement spending, and most of the agencies are now able to open their doors or loosen their spending purse. Both our contracting vehicles enable rapid procurement. I mentioned earlier, procurement officials can establish, basic order of, acquisition or BPAs within a week. They can obligate dollars to these BOA ceilings or award small task order, and they have a lot of flexibility. They don't need to obligate millions of dollars on something. They can start as low as 10,000, 15,000, 100,000, and get a work for their money, and then open the door wide to get additional services. No protests, no complications of procurement processes, no large deliverables. Purely tangible outcome-based delivery is enabled by this fast track. Whether it is trade wins or CBER, it enables you to open a ceiling-based BPA where you start with minimal amount and say, prove your worth to us, and we throw it to you. You say, perform this another task, and we give it to you. And that's how you allocate dollars and get worth for your money. In addition to that, administration has been asking contracting shops or procurement shops to reduce the spend. This is another best way to reduce the spend because innovation is built into this procurement vehicle, and you are getting the efficiency and productivity through these delivery efforts. In addition to that, we have also invested in outreach and process support for federal procurement officials. Now, trade winds and CBIRs have been famous in or been used in DoD for a lot of time, and a lot of the contracting officers in DoD are used to it. On the civilian side, it is pretty brand new to them. And sometimes we get a question, is it too good to be true? So we have invested in procedural support and education to guide them to right way use these procurement vehicles to get their mission needs delivered faster at almost 50% or 60% lower cost.
Wow, that was fantastic. So, Rob, from your perspective, why does FastPath matter as much to mission leaders as the technology itself?
So having sort of been in the seat of trying to do procurement from a Fed perspective, it's, again, we're talking 18 months, we're talking a lot of work, we're talking about processes that by the time you actually complete all of the processes, gone through all the checks, sometimes the technology is irrelevant. You're trying to procure. So, and especially in this age of artificial intelligence and quantum, the speed is critical. We're seeing changes sometimes daily in the technology that we're investigating, researching, and using and deploying into production. So you can only imagine how mission leaders, from a technology perspective, waiting 18 plus months, just get frustrated, they get burnt out, and are looking for ways to do great procurement. It's wonderful to do a quick sole source 8A, but you're limited in dollar amounts, and sometimes you're only getting half-baked ideas to production or even quarter. So to me, it's critical to be able to actually, if you have an idea, it gets vetted through X process, or gets competed properly and legally, then you can execute and actually make true mission needs at the speed that are required, either from a national security perspective, or even just to start to be efficient and save money. So that acquisition reality from a FastPath perspective, we have engineered FastPath to take into account a lot of these challenges. Vince covered a lot of them. What's already in place. Again, CBIR Phase 3, those authorities, trade winds, existing GWACs, as well as we continuously add to our list of solution marketplaces. For example, Platform One Solution Marketplace, Vulcan. There's a slew of others that continuously come up. Most of these are relatively new within the past 2 years to 1 year, and hoping and fingers crossed, and however we can be a great help to folks at GSA, hoping that a true enterprise marketplace that has some level of competition to put accelerators, products, and services that can be easily accessed for the rest of the federal government, so that these mission folks, not only are they getting the technology they need that's been properly vetted, but they can do it in a timely fashion. Ideally, again, very similar to the technology that can be created through some of these accelerators. We're talking, hours, not months. So from a Q4 crisis, end of year, I say that, used to, maybe not these days, but that's something that, mission leaders would stay up at night. Like, what do I do? How do I get this? I've got money I need to use. I've got a mission I need to move forward with. I've got ideas that I need to actually accomplish to make things happen. Budgets expire, and critical needs that can't wait. Usually we'll see you in 6 months. And that's mission failure, honestly. So FastPath really helps address that, and really can execute things, as I stated, in ideally hours, if not a few days, as opposed to waiting for that 6 months to whatever period when it comes to September 30th. So no more leaving money on the table, no more pushing critical capabilities to the next fiscal year, or sometimes even further. So I think to wrap that up, that speed with compliance, we're not asking anyone to bend the rules here. This is all legitimate pathways. These are pre-competed areas that can be leveraged and used so that you can hit mission needs at your speed. So we've done our homework. We've partnered with a lot of these groups to actually ensure that not only are we successful, but the folks that we interact with are successful as well. So mission leaders that care about FastPath, because it actually means that they can actually say yes to innovation while the speed is still relevant. And in today's threat environment, I mean, that's not just convenient. I would say it's essential.
Necessity. Yep.
I love it. So in closing, if you could give one piece of advice to an agency leader starting at an urgent modernization need with the fiscal year clock ticking, what would it be?
Leverage the rapid procurement avenues. And even before I go there, I sympathize with them, right? There is a need to cut down costs. There is a need to cut down timelines. There is an urgent modernization need. And when you shorten the time frame for decision making, there is nervousness around one, am I choosing the right contractor? Two, am I choosing the right solution? Rapid procurement avenues were designed specifically for these kinds of challenges that has pre-vetted the vendors, these solutions for the problems you are trying to solve. So leveraging rapid procurement avenues through FastPath to meet your fiscal year deadlines and modernization need is the only way out of long procurement cycles and specifically protests that can drag for 18 additional months. Definitely ask for AI-assisted productivity gains and efficiencies in the statement of objectives. That is the right place to do that because that justifies the lower cost and reduced timelines. Combined with the AI-assisted productivity and FastPath like procurement vehicle, I would say is the only way to get out of the way of mission delivery and realize significant cost savings. Every other traditional procurement cycle has proven to come in your way, not only during fiscal year end, but mission critical modernization. And now there are avenues that are available, tried, and tested with the solutions that are innovative, available to be implemented. Why not take advantage of it?
Yeah, just to piggyback on top of that as well. And our world is becoming increasingly more dynamic. It changes at breakneck speeds. We're seeing the challenges legacy systems and the drain they have on, the budgets of IT shops and just in general. So with the advent of being very dynamic and thinking dynamic, not only from a technology choice and perspective, but the ability to procure, I think first and foremost, we brought this up earlier, the statement of objectives, a SU, is a great place to start when you start your next journey and understanding what that is, marrying that up to the right technology, that it also provides the ability to be dynamic, to be decentralized, I think is also very, very critical. And again, don't wait. It's imperative to make things happen. And ultimately, as we move forward into maybe a more stable area of procurement, with these new avenues in place, we can really start to take advantage and move at the speed of innovation.
I'm into that.
I love it. So in closing, how do agencies find out more about FastPath?
There are multiple avenues to learn about FastPath. We have a lot of educational material on alphaomega.com. We have salespeople, government liaisons who are aware of our FastPath, what contracting vehicles are under there. We have consultants standing by to help procurement officials to walk through and go through the entire process with right deliverables and doing this procurement the right way. Alphaomega.com is a great source for all the pertinent information about FastPath. In addition to that, if you also visit our LinkedIn channel or on LinkedIn, we are continually posting tidbits about how to get in touch with us, how to learn more about it, and more importantly, how to connect with other federal officials who have already used FastPath to meet their modernization needs over the summer. And Rob, I'm pretty sure your network, you're already evangelizing this a lot, right?
Absolutely. A lot of folks are, what do we do? How do we do it? We've gone so far, again, it's all the information is available online and a great staff to help support. But not only that, we've provided a lot of documentation, not only from, let's say, somebody within the IT shop, maybe an IT PM or GT PM or what have you, but also information that helps contracting officers understand, see the path, ask questions, talk to the right people that support a lot of these FastPath programs. So all the information is quickly available. I just say, reach out if you need some help.
Yep, and it is on alphaomega.com/FastPath. Easy to remember and easy to consume information in a tidbits.
Well, thank you both so much for sharing all this great information with us. And the timing couldn't be better as we approach the end of the fiscal year. I think there's about 40 more days left in it. And we look forward to hearing more about the success of this program. And we thank you so much for joining us to share it with us.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, GovConnects. Thank you very much.
This concludes today's episode of the Fed to Fed podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps us continue bringing you thought-provoking conversations with the brightest minds in government technology. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we will continue to explore opportunities to harness the power of technology and explore what's next in developing a more innovative and efficient government. Until then, this is the Fed to Fed podcast by GovTech Connects. Thank you for joining us.